So I never had any intention to mow my lawn short when I seeded it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted a regular cut lawn. I wanted it at about 2 or 2.5 inches. I've always cut my lawn at 2 or 2.5 inches since a kid. I never had any intention to be sub 1 inch. It just kind of happened.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you is, at what point did you think, okay, I'm going to get a real mower and I'm going all in on this thing. It's going to be golf course style or fairway style, whatever you want to call it. Because that's a legitimate decision.
Yeah, it
and
is.
One that I never really thought was possible completely like in a homeowner's yard until I saw you doing it. And I was like, wow, okay, maybe it is something you can do. But what made that decision for you?
It was the pivotal moment was when I saw a picture on Instagram. It was my brother. He lived in like Vancouver, Washington, and he was doing it. He started out with bent, and then he had a lot of trouble with bent. Bent is very finicky,
yes,
temperamental. It dies easy, fungus, all that stuff. And so he kept putting in fescues and all these different varieties of grasses, and he would cut it low, and he had a McLean. And he had a picture on Instagram with some stripes and diamonds and, checkerboard pattern. It looked awesome. And I was already cutting my lawn at 2 inches or whatever. And everybody was saying, oh, it looks so great. It looks so great. And I saw that picture and I'm like, ooh, I want that. I want that. And so I said, well, what did you do to do that? Mm-hmm. And he told me, he says, first and foremost, the number one thing, get a reel mower. And so I'm like, okay. So I started searching for a reel mower, and I searched for 6-8 months and then I bought a McLean for $100, and that turned out to be not a great mower. And so I got rid of that, and eventually I found the Greensmaster 1000 that I have now. And that thing once you get that mower, your world is completely different.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that I ever really planned on doing. It just kind of evolved into the shortcut lawn. And when I was waiting to find that mower, I had taken my rotary mower all the way down. Mm-hmm. And so at the lowest setting, and I was mowing everything, it was just a regular push mower. And yes, it scalped. Yeah, it scalped for sure, and it still does. But
yep. So when how much area of your yard were you first reel mowing? Like, did you start off with an experiment size, like, I'm just going to do this little front portion, or in true Connor style?
No, dude. Don't do that.
Because
I'm going to test this little small spot.
You see my
That's
little
ridiculous.
You see my little test over there?
Yeah.
That's why.
You're not all in.
I'm not.
I tried to talk this guy into freaking doing all Kentucky Blue.
He did.
And he wouldn't do it.
But look over there.
It's amazing. I mean, it's covered in snow today, but I tried to talk him in. Do all Kentucky Blue first and be patient with the stuff. And then if you want to sew in some rye later, you can do that.
Yeah, you called me.
And he didn't listen to me.
You called me multiple times and you're like, dude, you better be doing just bluegrass. It's only bluegrass. And I was like, no, I love ryegrass.
It's awesome stuff, but it's easy to do later.
I know, but it's also easy to do right away and have an awesome yard.
So, no, I just decided just to go for it. When I got the McLean, so the one thing that's really important about reel mowing is you have to have reel to bed knife contact, tacked. And that's like the scissor action of the mower. And so I didn't know that when I got the McLean. I bought it for $100, and the bed knife was bent. It was kind of like had this curve to it. And there was places that was like a 1/4 inch of gap. But I just went for it anyways, and I'm sure it was tearing the lawn, but it looked great. It's striped. It made stripes, and it folded over, and it was clean cut. It looked good. And so I just mowed that front section of my lawn first. And I was mowing, every 3 or 4 days or something like that. And then I tell you, it's a snowball.
Well, yeah, and
it's a slippery slope.
That became, as soon as you went all in on that, then I'm assuming, did you ever think to yourself, like, I have this huge yard and I have this 20-inch mower, and this is going to be a major commitment?
It is a major commitment. I spend a lot of time in the lawn.
Yeah.
Every day I go home from work, and it's where I want to be. I'm excited to get off work. I'm excited to go into the lawn and mow. I mean, I don't care if the lawn needs to be mowed or not.
Yeah.
For me, it needs to be mowed. It needs to be mowed every day.
Right.
But Do I mow it every day? No, but I'm mowing something almost every day.
Because even with my like 3,000 square foot front yard, sometimes I get through like a few passes of it and I'm just kind of like, I love mowing, but then there's certain days where you're like, oh, I kind of don't want to like do this whole yard today, but you have to do it when you have to do it.
You have to mow a lot more. If you're going to go in the real mower world, I tell you what, if you're going to go down that road, it's a slippery slope. So just prepare to put a lot more time into it and really kind of be awesome. I don't know what else to say, but it's so fun for Ryan and I, and for lawn geeks. We love to mow the lawn.
Yeah.
Like, don't kid yourself, people. We like to mow.
Yes.
Like, and it's fun for us. So
it's weird to people. I understand that, but it's the truth. Like, that's the whole point to me when people have been asking me about, have you seen these robot mowers? And have you ever thought, no, I want to mow. I don't want a robot. I want to mow.
It's a commitment for sure. And, yes, I had a little small mower. I have 20,000 square feet. I've never had a riding mower. I went to Home Depot and bought a riding mower, a zero-turner Toro, and I asked them, can I take this back before I buy this? I want to know if I can return this. So I brought it home. I mowed it one time, put it all the way down to its lowest setting, and it didn't do anything. It didn't cut anything off. So I took it back like that day. And so, yeah, a riding mower would be good for me, but at the same time, like, I kind of like having a small mower because it's intricate. You can get into the small places a lot easier than you can with this big, wide machine.
So we'll touch on the triplex in just a second because I want to ask you about that. But one other thing I wanted to ask you about was when you started that first real mowing, what was the level of your lawn like at that point? Like, had you done any leveling other than just when you first hydro seeded and tried
Yes.
Okay.
So my lawn is fairly flat right now. It's not to where I want it to be, but it will eventually get there with more time. But anyways, before I seeded, I drag, and I had a drag, and I would get out there with the four-wheeler, and I would drag it. And that's something my dad has always done. We've never done sod at my house or whatever. We've always planted grass seed, and we've always drag. So if you're thinking about putting in a lawn or whatever, the one thing I can recommend is just get it flat before you put the grass seed down, because that is your only opportunity to do it easily. You can make it flat after the fact, but it's a lot more difficult.
And layers and layers.
Yeah, layers.
Yeah.
And so I was dragging. And it was pretty flat. But as, the soil erodes a little bit as it's growing in. And yeah, I had some bumps and some dips and depressions, but, the sand over the years has kind of...
And that's something that I look forward to when I actually get to like try a real mower on your yard. But that's something that kind of led to my front yard not being as fun this past year, was just because it wasn't very level. And when you're bouncing around with the machine, it's not as good. Once I got that little area done on that other side and I saw
it's a big difference.
What it was like to just go across a fairly flat surface, it was a major difference. And then it made it easier to mow, which on a big area like yours is a requirement to be able to just move along pretty quickly. But it made it
flat lawn is what makes it look so good. I mean, yeah, it's short or whatever, but because it looks flat, that, in my opinion, is what really sets it off. And people always ask me, they come by and say, how did you get it so flat? And I just said, well, I'm out here. And people always say to me, how did you get your lawn to look like that? And I just tell them, time.
Yep.
I am out here. You come by and I'm out here. You see me every day. I'm out here every day working on it. If you spent that much time in your lawn would look the same.